The paralyzed alien was doomed until a human soldier risked everything. The battlefield was silent now, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence after destruction. The ground was broken and black, covered with smoke and ashes. Strange alien fires burned in different colors, green, blue, and red, each flame licking the air like it wanted to swallow the stars. Crashed ships lay in the distance, their metal bodies split apart like broken bones. Pieces of armor, weapons, and helmets were scattered everywhere. The stench of burned flesh and melted steel filled the air. Among the ruins, a figure lay half buried under a pile of twisted metal. It was a warrior. Not human. His skin was pale silver, almost shining under the dying flames. His eyes, large and bright with a faint glow, stared at the empty night sky. His chest rose and fell slowly, but the rest of his body did not move. His legs were crushed. His arms were weak. He was paralyzed. This was Karan, once a great warrior of his people. His name had been sung in alien songs. He had carried the banner of his empire through countless battles. He had never known defeat. Until tonight. Now he was alone. His own army had left him behind. When the retreat order came, they ran. No one looked back. To them, a paralyzed soldier was already dead. A burden. They believed Karen's story ended here, in the dirt, forgotten like all the other broken things on this field. Karen's mind was a storm of anger and shame. He wanted to scream, but his body betrayed him. He wanted to rise, but his legs were nothing but heavy stones. The warrior who once made enemies tremble now could not even lift his hand to push away the dust from his face. He closed his eyes and whispered in his own language, "Better death than pity. Let the sky take me." But the sky gave him nothing. Only silence. Then footsteps. At first soft, almost hidden under the crackle of burning wreckage. Then closer, steady, heavy boots pressing against the ground. Karen's eyes snapped open. His breathing grew sharp. Through the smoke, a shadow appeared. The outline of a figure walking slowly, carefully. Not an alien. Not one of his kind. A human. The figure came into view. A soldier dressed in black and gray armor, dust and blood covering his chest plate. His helmet was cracked, but his eyes were sharp. He held a rifle in one hand, low but ready. His face was tired, his steps heavy, but his presence carried something strange, something Karen could not name. The human soldier stopped a few feet away from Karen and studied him. The two warriors locked eyes. Karen expected the human to raise his weapon and fire. That was the natural way. Enemies killed each other. No questions. No second chances. Especially here, after such a brutal war. But the human did not shoot. Instead, he tilted his head as if confused. As if wondering why this alien was still alive. His eyes scanned Karen's crushed body, the blood, the broken armor. Karen growled weakly, his voice rough and cracked. "Finish it." "Human." The soldier said nothing. He only stood there, breathing through the smoke. Karen's mind raced. Why wait? Why stare? Was this human playing with him? Was he waiting to enjoy the last seconds of his enemy's suffering? The silence grew heavy. Even the fires seemed to quiet down, as if the battlefield itself was holding its breath. Karen's heart pounded. His alien instinct screamed at him, "Do not trust. Humans are dangerous. They kill first. Always. And yet, this one did not. The soldier lowered his rifle, slowly, carefully. Karen blinked in disbelief. The human kneeled. Down, closer now, until Karen could see the dirt, the blood, the exhaustion on his face. The soldier's eyes were not filled with hate, not with cruelty, but something else, something Karen had not seen in a long time. Compassion. It made no sense. Karen whispered again, his voice breaking. Why? The soldier finally spoke, his words calm, simple, and steady. Because no one deserves to die alone, and in that moment, Karen realized this human was not like the others. This was the beginning of something he could not yet understand. Something greater than war. Something greater than defeat. But before Karen could speak again, before he could even breathe another word, the night sky above them roared loud engines, heavy shadows, the sound of more soldiers coming. The decision of the human would change everything. Karen had always believed warriors died with honor. He had always believed that when the moment came, his people would carry his name with pride, even if his body was left behind. But the truth was different. He remembered the moment his commander shouted the retreat. The battlefield was collapsing, the enemy pressing forward with endless fire. His brothers and sisters soldiers, who once swore never to leave him, ran without looking back. He had shouted for help, his voice strong even when his legs failed. But no one heard. Or perhaps no one cared. The memory burned him more than the wounds on his body. It was betrayal. Not from the enemy, but from his own kind. Now, staring at the human soldier kneeling before him, Karen's pride twisted into something sharp and bitter. He wanted to spit. He wanted to curse. He wanted to scream, "I need no mercy from a human." But his broken body allowed only whispers. His words came out like dust, scattered in the smoke. The human did not answer his anger. Instead, the soldier scanned the area around them. His rifle shifted in his grip, ready at any moment to fire. The engines Karen had heard earlier were closer now. The battlefield was not safe. Karen's glowing eyes narrowed. He studied the human more closely. His armor carried no clear symbol of rank. His weapon was old, scratched, and patched together with different parts. This was not a decorated commander, not a wealthy officer. This was a survivor. The soldier's gaze returned to Karen, and for a moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the distant hum of approaching ships. Finally, Karen broke the silence. His voice was dry, like stone grinding against stone. "You should leave. My death is already here. Why risk your life for an enemy?" The soldier looked at him, calm but firm. "You're not my enemy anymore. Not here. Not like this." The words struck Karen harder than any blade. His people had abandoned him as useless. Yet this human, his sworn rival, refused to see him as an enemy. Why? Karen's chest rose with a weak, bitter laugh. "Humans are strange. You kill without hesitation. But now you show pity?" The soldier shook his head slowly. "Not pity, choice." The words carried weight. But before Karen could ask their meaning, the sky split open with light. Dropships were descending. Their shadows stretched across the broken ground, growing larger, darker, heavier. The human soldier glanced upward, his jaw tightening. He knew what was coming. More troops. More enemies. If they saw him near this alien warrior, they would shoot first and ask no questions. Karen saw the tension in his face. He understood the risk. "Go," Karen whispered. "Go before they see you. A cripple like me is not worth your death." The soldier's eyes hardened. His hand pressed against the wreckage, pinning Karen's legs, testing its weight. The alien warrior winced as pain shot through his broken body. But the human didn't stop. Karen gasped, confused. "What are you doing?" "Something no one else dared to do," the soldier replied, his voice steady even as the engines roared above them. "Saving you." Karen's heart thudded. He felt torn apart by emotions he had no name for. Rage, shame, hope, fear. "Why?" he demanded, his voice cracking with both weakness and fury. "Why risk your life for me?" The human soldier leaned closer, his voice low, carrying through the smoke and thunder. "Because every soldier deserves a chance to fight again. Even you." Karen's eyes widened. For the first time in his long life of battles, he felt something unexpected. Respect for a human. Above them, The dropship screamed closer. Searchlights cut across the battlefield. Soldiers shouted as they jumped down, their weapons scanning for survivors. Karen's breathing grew shallow. If they were discovered, both he and this human would die. The soldier tightened his grip on his weapon, then looked back at Karen. His voice was sharp, commanding, like the sound of steel striking stone. "Stay quiet. Stay alive. I'll get you out of this." And in that moment, Karen realized something terrifying. This human was not simply a survivor. He was a fighter who refused to abandon anyone, the kind of warrior Karen's own people had failed to be. The battlefield was no longer silent. Engines thundered above as dropships cut through the smoke-filled night sky. Their searchlights swept over the ruins, turning broken metal into long shadows. Soldiers poured out of the ships like dark waves, shouting orders, moving in tight groups with rifles raised. The human soldier pressed his body low, his eyes sharp and calculating. Beside him, Karen lay half buried in wreckage, helpless yet burning with questions. This was madness. The human should have left already. He could have disappeared into the ruins, and no one would have known. But instead, he stayed. Karen's voice was weak but urgent. "They will find us. They will kill us both. Leave me." The soldier turned his head, his face set like stone. "I don't leave people behind." Karen stared at him in disbelief. "Not leave?" The words struck deeper than any blade. His own people had abandoned him without hesitation. Yet this human, his sworn enemy, refused to walk away. The soldier adjusted his rifle and scanned the growing shadows of the approaching squads. His breaths came slow, steady, like a predator waiting for the right moment. He whispered, almost to himself, "We move now or not at all." Karen's body was useless, heavy, broken. "Move? You are insane. I cannot even stand." "Then I'll carry you." Karen's glowing eyes widened. "Carry me? You would carry an enemy?" The soldier gave a short, humorless smile. "I don't see an enemy. I see someone worth saving." Before Karen could argue, the soldier dug his arms beneath the twisted wreckage. Muscles strained, sweat rolled down his face as he lifted the heavy metal pinning Karen. The alien warrior clenched his teeth, his body shaking with pain as the pressure lifted from his legs. With one final push, the soldier freed him. Karen gasped, unable to believe what had just happened. His own army had left him like discarded trash. Yet a human someone raised to fight against him had pulled him from death. The soldier knelt, sliding his arms beneath Karen's weakened frame. With a grunt, he lifted the alien warrior onto his shoulders in a fireman's carry. Karen felt the human's strength, raw and unyielding, as if he carried not just a broken body, but the weight of defiance itself. From above, searchlights moved closer. Voices shouted. A squad was heading their way. The soldier moved quickly, keeping low as he carried Karen through the ruins. Every step was heavy, but his determination never faltered. Karen could hear the pounding of the human's heart, steady and strong, like the beat of war drums. "You will die for this," Karen whispered, his pride still resisting even as his soul trembled. "Your people will not forgive you." "Then let them hate me," the soldier muttered, eyes locked forward. "Better hated for saving a life than praised for leaving one to die." The words struck Karen silent. He had lived a lifetime believing honor was loyalty to one's people, to one's empire. Yet here was a human, teaching him another kind of honor, one that cared nothing for sides or orders. The squad's voices grew louder. Their boots hammered the ground nearby. The soldier pressed himself into the shadow of a broken wall, holding Karen close, every muscle tight with tension. Searchlights passed inches away. Soldiers marched by, scanning with their rifles. One paused, staring at the wreckage. Karen held his breath, every instinct screaming for silence. The soldier's hand tightened on his weapon, ready to fire if discovered. After a long, agonizing moment, the squad moved on, The soldier exhaled slowly. Not yet. We're not done. Karen looked at him in disbelief. This man risked everything for a stranger. For an enemy. For him. And for the first time, Karen felt something his people had never given him. Not pity, not loyalty bound by oath, but trust. The human's choice was clear. He would fight, bleed, and even die not for orders, not for glory, but for one paralyzed alien warrior abandoned by his own kind. And Karen realized with a heavy heart that this human, this lone soldier, carried more honor than his entire empire. Asterisk. The night was alive with danger. The human soldier moved through the ruins with Karen on his shoulders, each step heavy but determined. Smoke curled around broken walls, and the glow of alien fire painted the ground in red and green. Above them, dropships circled like predators, their searchlights slicing across the battlefield. Karen could hear the voices of enemy squads echoing nearby. Their boots crushed the rubble, their rifles clicking as they prepared to fire at anything that moved. The sound of radio chatter cut through the smoke short. Sharp commands in a language Karen did not understand, but he understood enough. They were hunting. The soldier crouched low, sliding behind the blackened hull of a destroyed transport. His breath came hard, but his grip on Karen never faltered. They are closing in, Karen whispered. His voice was ragged, but his eyes scanned the shadows with warrior instinct. You cannot outrun them with my weight. The soldier gave no reply. Instead, he studied the path ahead. His eyes darted between cover and open ground, measuring the distance, the risk, the timing. Karen pressed on. You are carrying death. My body slows you. Leave me. Escape while you can. The soldier finally spoke, his voice steady but low. You've already been left once. Not again. Before Karen could argue, the soldier moved. He darted from cover, boots crunching against ash and debris. The light from above swept dangerously close, but he pressed forward, weaving through shadows like a ghost. His body carried Karen with unshaken strength, even as alarms began to rise. Shouts erupted behind them. The squads had spotted movement. Flashlights and rifle beams lit up the ruins. Run! Karen hissed. The soldier broke into a sprint, his legs pumping, his breath sharp. Bullets sparked against the metal around them, ricocheting in showers of sparks. The soldier ducked behind a collapsed wall, pressing his back against the cold stone. Karen still slung across his shoulders. The alien warrior felt shame burning inside him. Once he had carried others. Once he had been the strong one. Now he was helpless, a burden on the shoulders of a man he once called enemy. The soldier pulled a small device from his belt, a smoke charge. With one flick, he tossed it into the open. A thick cloud spread across the ground, swallowing the lights and shouts of the squads. Using the cover, he pushed forward again. Karen whispered through clenched teeth. Why do this? Why suffer for me? The soldier's eyes were hard, his jaw set. Because if I leave you, then I become the same as the people who abandoned you. And I won't be that man. His words were simple, but they cut deep into Karen's heart. The chase grew louder. Enemy soldiers shouted, their footsteps closing in. Through the smoke, Karen could see their silhouettes moving like shadows of death. The soldier spotted an atelier, opening a narrow gap beneath a fallen ship wing. Without hesitation, he dropped low and slid under, dragging Karen with him. The metal scraped against his armor, sparks flying as they squeezed through. On the other side, they emerged into a darker part of the ruins, shielded from the searchlights above. For a moment, silence, then footsteps again. The squads were splitting, spreading out. They would not give up so easily. The soldier lowered Karen gently against a wall. For the first time, Karen saw the exhaustion in his face. Sweat dripped down his jaw, his chest heaving, his arms trembling from the weight of battle and burden, yet his eyes still burned with resolve. He checked his rifle, half a clip left. Not enough to fight an entire squad. Karen studied him in the dim light. This man was not acting out of orders. Not out of strategy. But out of something deeper, something Karen's people had forgotten long ago. Honor. Human, Karen rasped, his voice almost gentle now. If you fall here, no one will sing your name. No one will remember you. The soldier gave a faint smile, his hand tightening on his rifle. Then I'll make sure the last thing I do is something worth remembering. The sound of boots drew closer. Shouts echoed. The hunt was not over, and in that shadowed corner of the battlefield, Karen realized the truth. This soldier was more dangerous, more fearless, and more alive than any warrior he had ever known. Not because he killed, but because he refused to abandon. The pursuit had only begun. The ruins shook with the sound of boots. The enemy squads were closing in, their voices sharp, their rifles ready. Flashlights cut across the wreckage like blades of white fire. The human soldier pressed his back against the broken wall, Karen leaning beside him, half hidden in the dark. The soldier's rifle felt heavy in his hands. He checked the magazine again, only a few rounds left. Not enough for the wave of soldiers sweeping the battlefield. Karen's voice was low but urgent. You cannot fight them all. You are one man. They are many. The soldier looked at him, eyes steady. One man is enough if he refuses to fall. Before Karen could respond, the first squad rounded the corner. Their flashlights pierced the darkness, beams of light crawling across the wall. The soldier moved in one fluid motion. He leaned out from cover, rifle raised. 3 shots cracked like thunder. 3 lights dropped instantly. The rest of the squad shouted, their rifles spitting fire into the wall where the soldier had just been. Sparks rained, stones shattered, smoke filled the air. The soldier ducked back, pulling Karen lower to shield him from the storm of bullets. His heart pounded, but his hands were steady. Another squad's footsteps echoed from the opposite side, trapped, surrounded. Karen's eyes glowed faintly in the smoke. Human, you cannot protect me and fight them both. Leave me here. By your own life. The soldier shook his head, his jaw hard. Not happening. The footsteps grew louder, closer. The soldier took a breath. Then, with sudden force, he slammed the butt of his rifle against the wall once, twice. The sound echoed through the ruins, drawing the enemy's attention. Soldiers rushed toward the noise, but by the time they reached it, the soldier had already moved. He dragged Karen into the shadows of a collapsed structure, shifting position before the enemies realized. The squads converged where the sound came from, shouting orders, their lights all pointing in the wrong direction. Karen blinked in surprise. You fight not only with strength, but with the mind. The soldier gave a faint grin, even through the chaos. War isn't about numbers. It's about will, but the distraction would not last. The soldiers spread out again, and soon one of them spotted movement. A beam of light caught the edge of Karen's silver skin. Over here. A voice roared. Gunfire erupted. The soldier rolled, pulling Karen down. Bullets shredded the ground inches from their heads. With quick precision, he raised his rifle and fired back. 2 enemies dropped. The rest scattered for cover. Then click. Empty. The soldier tossed the useless rifle aside and drew his sidearm. With one hand he fired, the other keeping Karen shielded. His bullets found their marks, but more soldiers kept coming, their boots hammering closer, their voices growing louder. Karen's chest tightened. He had seen countless battles, but never like this, never a man fighting so desperately, not for victory, but for another's survival. A soldier charged through the smoke, rifle raised for a killing shot. The human moved faster. He surged forward, slamming his shoulder into the attacker. The impact sent both crashing into the rubble. The human's knife flashed in the dim light. One strike, silent, quick. He grabbed the fallen rifle and swung it around in one motion, firing at the next enemy who appeared. Karen stared, awed despite the chaos. You fight like a beast." The soldier's breath came hard, sweat dripping down his face. "I fight like a man who refuses to give up." Another grenade rolled across the ground, its light blinking out without hesitation. The soldier kicked it away, the explosion rocking the ruins with fire and dust. The shockwave slammed into both men, but the soldier held firm, his body shielding Karen from the blast. When the dust cleared, more enemies advanced. Dozens of them. The soldier wiped blood from his forehead, his chest heaving, his pistol nearly empty. He glanced at Karen, then back at the endless shadows of approaching soldiers. "Stay, behind me," he muttered. Karen's glowing eyes locked onto him, burning with something he had not felt in years' respect. "You are one man. But tonight, you fight as if you are an army." The soldier raised his weapon, determination blazing in his gaze. And in that moment, the paralyzed alien warrior realized a terrifying truth. If this human had been born among his people, entire empires would have bowed before him. The fight was not over. It was only beginning. The battlefield burned brighter as more squads closed in. Smoke swirled, gunfire cracked, and the ruins shook with explosions. The human soldier stood firm, his pistol nearly dry, his body tense with exhaustion. Beside him, Karen leaned against broken stone, watching with wide, glowing eyes. But fate struck hard. A sudden burst of fire tore through the air. One bullet found its mark. The soldier staggered as the impact slammed into his side. His breath caught, his legs buckled for a moment. Blood spread across his armor, dark and heavy. Karen's heart lurched. "You are hit." The soldier gritted his teeth, pressing his hand against the wound. His jaw clenched in pain, but his eyes burned with fire. "I've been hit before. This isn't the end." Yet Karen could see the truth. The human steps were slower, his strength bleeding away with every drop. Still, he stood between Karen and the advancing enemy, his pistol raised with unshaken defiance. The squads shouted, their lights slicing through the smoke. More soldiers poured forward, their weapons ready to finish the fight. Karen whispered, his voice filled with urgency. "You cannot win like this. Leave me. Save yourself before the wound kills you." The soldier turned his head, eyes blazing with iron will. "I told you, I don't leave people behind. Not you. Not anyone." His words struck Karen like thunder. Even wounded, even bleeding, this man refused to surrender. The soldier raised his pistol and fired again. Each shot rang with precision, dropping enemies one by one. But his aim began to falter, his hand trembling from blood loss. His breath grew ragged, his face pale. Still he fought. Still he stood. Karen's chest tightened. Shame burned inside him. He, the mighty warrior of his people, could do nothing but watch. His body was broken, his strength gone. Yet this human, a stranger, carried him, shielded him, bled for him. A grenade clattered near the rubble. The soldier saw it first. Without hesitation, he threw himself over Karen, shielding him as the blast erupted. Fire and stone rained down. The shockwave slammed into the soldier's back, tearing deeper into his wound. When the dust cleared, Karen coughed weakly, his silver skin bruised but alive. The soldier pushed himself up, coughing blood, his armor cracked, his body shaking. "You are mad," Karen whispered, his voice breaking. "Mad to throw away your life for me." The soldier's lips curled into a faint, painful smile. "Maybe, but sometimes. Madness is what saves us." Another squad appeared, shouting orders. They opened fire. The soldier staggered to his feet, dragging Karen back into the shadows. Bullets carved sparks inches from their heads. He dropped low, hiding behind a broken engine. His pistol clicked empty. No more bullets. For the first time, silence fell between them. The enemy was regrouping. The soldier had nothing left but his knife, his fists, and his will. Karen stared at him, his glowing eyes filled with something new. Not pity, not shame, but a fierce, burning respect. You fight with nothing left. Why? Why keep standing? The soldier leaned back against the stone, blood soaking his side. His voice was weak, yet steady. Because if I fall now, you fall with me. And I won't let that happen. Karen felt his throat tighten. For the first time in his long warrior life, he was speechless. The soldier's head tilted slightly, his eyes heavy but unbroken. If I die here, promise me one thing. Karen leaned closer. What? Live. Don't waste the life I gave everything for. Live. Karen's chest shook, his hands trembling even though his body was broken. In that moment, he understood the truth. This human was no ordinary soldier. He was a force of will, a storm of defiance, a warrior who carried honor greater than any empire. The squad shouted again, closing in. The soldier tightened his grip on the knife. His body swayed, but his spirit stood tall. And Karen realized something terrifying. Even wounded, even dying, this man was still the most dangerous warrior on the field. The end was near. But it was not finished yet. The ruins shook again as heavy boots pounded the ground. The enemy squads gathered for their final push, their voices rising in cruel anticipation. Searchlights swept across the smoke, searching for the two figures trapped in the shadows. The soldier pressed his back against the shattered engine, his breath shallow and broken. Blood soaked through his side, dripping onto the dirt. His pistol was empty. His body screamed for rest. But his eyes, those stubborn, unyielding eyes, still burned with defiance. Karen sat beside him, his silver skin bruised, his leg twisted, his strength nearly gone. Yet his gaze never left the human. This man had bled for him, shielded him, refused to abandon him. And now, with nothing left, he still prepared to fight. Your knife will not stop an army, Karen rasped. The soldier glanced down at the blade. The steel gleamed faintly in the firelight, small and fragile against the storm that approached. He smirked, a bitter, fearless smile. Maybe not. But they'll remember I was here. Karen's chest tightened. You cannot mean to throw your life away. The soldier turned his head, meeting Karen's glowing eyes. If my life buys you a chance, it's not wasted. Before Karen could speak, the ground trembled. The enemy shouted orders, their voices echoing through the ruins. Floodlights snapped on, pinning the two in a harsh white glare. There! A soldier cried. Gunfire erupted. Sparks exploded around them. The human soldier pushed Karen flat and rose to his knees, charging out from cover. He moved like a phantom of war. His knife flashed, his fists cracked skulls. His body, though broken, fought with the fury of a man who refused to die quietly. He was a blur of blood and fire, slamming into enemies twice his size, tearing rifles from their hands, turning their own weapons against them. Karen watched in disbelief. This was not madness. This was something beyond will forged into steel, a spirit that no wound could shatter. One enemy after another fell. The soldier's knife sank deep, his elbow shattered jaws, his boots crushed throats. He fought with no hesitation, no fear. Each second he bought was a miracle, each breath a declaration. I will not yield. But numbers won wars. More squads surged forward. They fired into the smoke, bullets tearing across the soldier's armor. He staggered, grunted, yet kept moving. One shot clipped his shoulder, another tore across his leg. He stumbled but rose again, blood streaming, knife still ready. Karen's throat burned. For the first time in his warrior life, he felt powerless. His body failed him, but his heart screamed. He could not sit idle. Not now. With shaking hands, he reached for a fallen rifle beside him. His broken fingers curled around it. He lifted, aimed, and fired. The weapon kicked against him, but his shot struck true. Two enemies dropped. The soldier spared him a glance, just for a heartbeat. In his eyes flickered something rare. Not command, not pity, but pride. Together, wounded and broken, they stood against the tide. The ruins turned into chaos. Gunfire, screams, smoke, and blood swirled in madness. Karen's aim faltered, his body giving way. The soldier stumbled again, a bullet ripping across his side. He dropped to one knee. The enemies closed in. Their commander raised his weapon for the killing shot. Karen cried out. No, and then it happened. The soldier rose one last time. His knife gleamed as he lunged forward, slamming into the commander with all the fury left in his soul. The blade drove deep. The commander fell, but the soldier did not stop. He roared through blood and pain, tearing the weapon free, striking again and again. The enemies hesitated, fear flashing in their eyes. Here was no ordinary human. Here was a beast of will, a storm wrapped in flesh, a man who defied death itself. They fell back, shouting in panic that the soldier swayed, blood dripping, chest heaving. He stood tall, even as his knees trembled, even as his body failed. He had turned the tide, not with weapons, not with numbers, but with sheer unbreakable spirit. Karen crawled to him, his heart thundering. You should be dead 10 times over, he whispered. The soldier gave a weak, broken grin. Yeah, but death's still waiting. Then, as silence spread through the ruins, both knew the fight wasn't over. More enemies lurked beyond the smoke. The night was not done, but Karen also knew something else. From this day on, his people would never again speak of humans as weak. They would remember the man who stood when no one else could, the wounded soldier who fought armies with nothing but will.